Hi, my name is Christy Cropper, and I am doing my Marzano activity on fables, folktales, and moral. So, the ELA standard that I picked comes from second grade, and it states recount stories including fables and folktales from diverse cultures and determine their central message, lesson, or moral. I chose this one because it actually has a lot of words in here that I think you could focus on. I decided to just kind of limit it down for this thing, but if I was doing it, I would probably talk about what cultures means and diverse and all those different kinds of things too. But for this, I'm just doing fable, folktale, and moral. So, what I would do is I would show this picture and I would talk about how fables are short stories that usually include animal type characters to tell a lesson or teach um, uh, what the author wants you to understand. Here are my images for a folktale. A folktale is a short story that has been passed down for many generations. It also can have a moral in the story, or it can just be to entertain and pass along traditions and old stories. The moral of the story, I would show kids it's what the book is trying to teach you, or its main idea and what it's centered around. So then after I showed these to the kids, I would pass out this little graphic organizer, and I would have the kids build their own definition based on what we had talked about. If they couldn't write by second grade, they usually can do pretty good with sentences, but if not, I would open it up that they could draw a picture that would help them understand if they didn't know how to spell the word, story or whatever. They could just draw it like a book, and that kind of a thing. Then I would do an activity that's called freeze pair. And what I would do is I would have the kids, they walk around the classroom, and then when I call out freeze, they have to hurry and pair up. They grab each other's hands, and I would have them then share with their partner the definition for each of the words that they came up with. Like I would call out and say, okay, share with your partner the definition for folktale. And I would have one partner share, and then I'd have the other partner share, and then I would have them mix and do it again, and I would call out and say, okay, tell your neighbor your definition for moral. And we would do that for all of the words. Um, I would definitely have the kids act out different ways of defining fable and folktale and moral. I would decide whether or not we use costumes. If it was just a spur of the moment thing, we might just act out different stories and have the kids try and guess, is this a fable? Is this a folktale? Um, Moral might be a little bit more tricky, but I think we could work that out. Um, for discuss, what I would do is probably read short snippets from different stories, different fables, different folk tales, and have the kids tell me if they thought it was a fable or a folk tale. Or I would share different scenarios like um, after reading this story, I learned this, and I would have the kids um, then say, is this a moral, a folk tale, or a fable? And we would discuss that like that. For the refine and reflect, what I would do is have the kids interact in a fishbowl where we had the inner group share their definition while the outer group listened, and then we would switch, and maybe the outer group would share, and then we would switch partners and do that a couple of times so that the kids could work with that. And finally, for the games part, I love, love, love word searches as a kid, so this would be something that I would share. And then perhaps I would make a matching game where the kids could match up the definitions with different stories, sort of like the one that's displayed here. So this is my presentation on what I would do for the Marzano vocabulary 6 steps. Thank you.